What's going on, guys? Keith here, Two Guys How To. Another day, another thing to fix. Fixing a ATC 350X today. You can see it right back behind me. I was going to pull it in the shop, but I'm actually just going to pull the carb right here and take it in the shop and rebuild it. I got a new kit in from Shindy. So let's go ahead and take this thing off, get the carburetor inside. The problem we were having was the float valve, the needle, the float on the valve on the float. It just wasn't letting enough gas in. So I'm gonna pull it out. I got a new set in there, a whole new kit. Hopefully this solves the problem with the sputtering, the backfiring, not enough gas letting in, and eventually just no gas at all coming in, even when every time you'd rebuild the carb or clean it and put it back together. So I'm gonna rebuild it with this good kit. It's got the ethanol friendly gaskets in it from Shindy, made in Japan. And let's see what happens. So I'm gonna pull this off and let's take it in the garage. Alright, so I'm in the garage, have the carb here on my workbench, and I'm actually getting ready to take this thing apart. I was opening up the Shindy kit here that I got. It's a 03-022-28812, and the more I look into it, I see a bunch of things, but I do not see the seat for the new needle valve. This little teeny thing, looks like an earring, hangs on the float like that, and I'm not really liking that. But it is what it is. The float that's in this bike is still good. I'm just gonna swap the needle, the float valve out, and the needle valve. They call it a bunch of different things. They did come with some other gaskets I don't think we're gonna need right now. I'm gonna keep them as backups for the float bowl and the top part of the carburetor. But I will swap out the jets. It's got a couple other little odds and ends in here. I've already been in this carb last week and cleaned it out. Still backfiring and going, carrying on after they were riding it. Could have been some dirty gas. And it's also got another adjustment in here, which is a little bit different than stock. So I'm going to keep as much of the stock stuff as possible, and I'm just going to do the float valve and a couple of the jets, and that's it. So let's get busy, break down into this real quick. I'm going to be pretty fast with it, but I'm going to show you, get up and close. That way if you've got one of these type of carbs on the 350X with the side, throttle cable, normally they come into the top and they have a slide up here. You can just take it apart and rebuild it, clean it, whatever you want to do real fast, and I'm going to show you how. Alright, so let's go ahead and take this float bowl. This particular carb sits like this. It's got the idle adjustment here. Let's just go ahead and undo that. Just one Phillips head screw. Set that in our pan, and we've got 4 other float bowl screws here. We got 1, 2, that idle adjuster will get in your way right there. And we're on our 4th one here. So let's go ahead and take this top bowl off, see what's going on in here, try to find out why it's not getting the fuel that it needs. And you can see there's a gasket around here. We're going to go ahead and leave that alone. If yours is dirty, I use this CRC non-chlorinated parts cleaner, and I'd scrub it in, spray it in there, and just scrub it out with a toothbrush, which I'll do real quick before we reassemble it. And you've got your little piece that goes on top here, your gas diverter. Make sure you take a picture and make note of how that goes back on. And you got your float here. Basically, when the carb's like this, these go down, let the gas in, and as the gas filled up, it turns off. So you should be able to blow through here. The problem we were having is with this clean and everything, it wasn't letting it through. So with the float bowl on, it was not letting it through. It will when it's off. So I'm not sure if this seat down here needs to be kind of reseated in a little deeper. So I'm just going to take a little piece of wire. You got this float pin right here that holds the float on. Just poke that out. That's just a little axle. Take that out, set it to the side, and your float will come up and it'll have that needle valve on it, the float valve. And it just clips in right into these little slot right there. It's a little notch. Just goes in and boom. Some of them hang on those. This one doesn't have an earring piece. So take that out, set that to the side. Here's our float. Make note of the way that came out. These big humps were facing down at the bottom. And right in here is your seat. And that's where that needle goes, that float valve goes in, right into that seat. Right there. And that's what opens and closes your gas in there off that float. So since this carb didn't come with a seat, I'm going to go ahead and just recess this one down in a little bit more. Maybe it came out. Maybe somebody was in here before I got in here. I've just got an awl that fits the size of that seat and a ball hammer. I just lightly tapped it in there. Looks good. I'm going to spray a little bit of clean in there. I'm not going to get any of this cleaner on that new needle float valve though. Let's just go ahead and keep that good to go. Let's take out our jets here real fast. I believe one's a 6 mil and an 8 mil. Top jet here will come off. And you should be able to see daylight through that. If you don't, use the carb clean and get some guitar string or some kind of poker system. This is a carb cleaning kit. And you just keep running those up through there. Don't ream it out, but just make sure everything's clean. And once again, spray it with that. We've got a kit, and our kit came with a brand new jet. And to be honest with you, this jet is way smaller than what we have. So we're actually gonna have to use Kevin's jet. All we need is that needle valve, the float valve. And I can double check with my poker kit here. This one goes right up inside. Let's double check. So I'm not really liking this Shindy kit. I like it because it's made in Japan, but I'm a little bit disappointed, to be honest with you. I don't know. They seem almost the same. When I mic them with this kit, they just look different. Maybe this one here has been reamed out before. But the hole itself seems to be exactly the same. So I'm actually going to go with the new stuff. I'm going to save all of Kevin's old stuff and run the bike around and see how it goes. So we've got our old one here. Let's just set that there. And it looks like we got maybe a 7 mil here. What is this? 7 mil. This one will come out. And that's your needle right there. That's your off of your throttle right here. You can see that needle moving up and down in and out of that jet right there, and you should be able to see right through that. And it actually looks like it has, I don't know if this is adjustable on this one or not. I'm going to match this up to the one that came with Kevin, the Shindy kit, and of course the one that came with the Shindy kit did not come with the Shindy kit. So I'm not feeling this. I'm not ordering any more stuff. I'm going to look through the packs more thoroughly and get a more complete pack. The only reason why I do like Shindy is because these are ethanol tolerant float valves and they won't swell up from that new alcohol that's in the gasoline now. So I'm not real impressed with it, but it is what it is. Let's go ahead and take this one jet out down here. It's right in the middle. You just need small little screwdrivers. Make sure they fit or you'll strip them out. And also on this one that we just took out, this long one that I'm complaining that Shindy didn't have in there. If you take that out, there's a pellet that comes out down there. Little teeny thing. And it's beveled on one end and flat, just regular size on the other end. Let's match that up to the Shindy one. Yeah, it looks the same. But Kevin still looks bigger, but it's also a lot dirtier than the Shindy. So let me mic this real quick with some wire. I think they're the same. And this one's not beat up either. Sometimes these brass ones will get beat up over time. So let's set that aside. Keep all the shindy stuff. Everything's good to go down in there. This is an air mixture screw. We'll mess with that a little bit later. But let's just go ahead. I got a clean rag. Normally I have another Tupperware under here. I'm just going to spray all these out. Make sure they're breathing right. Spray the inside of this float bowl out. Since I touched it. If yours is dirty, once again, just take that toothbrush with some carb clean and just scrub up inside there. There's also another little jet that I noticed the shindy kit didn't come with. Is this little one right here on the side. And once again, you want to use a screwdriver that fits it perfect or you'll strip it out. They're brass. Little teeny thing. And once again, you should be able to see right through it. So let's go ahead and I got these, you either use speaker wire. I got this little cleaning brushes, I think off of eBay or somebody. I got a couple packs of them. And you just match it up. It's like a keychain. So you find the right size wire that'll fit up through there. And you don't want to force it up there. You just want to make sure it'll go through there nice and easy. Clean it out. Don't ream it out, just clean it. Let's just go ahead and spray that off. Now we know we can see through that. We just got the wire up through there. And if you don't have that wire, I use a speaker wire like this. I strip the end and I put that speaker wire right up through there as well. It'll clean it too. So let's go ahead and just put this back in here and move on. We know that that's clean. Sometimes you got to lay these on their side and get them in by hand first, or use a magnetized screwdriver because they're small. But this 350X we'll be doing wheelies by tonight, that's for sure. This jet's actually just a little bit of a headache of its location. The 350X has a different carb than a lot of other bikes I've worked on, and it's just kind of unique. That's why the bike is kind of burly and fast and powerful. The carb is just set up. So now that we touched all that again, let's just spray that out. Okay, let that dry out a little bit. And let's go ahead and let's just take all the shindy stuff that we have. We've got the main jet here that's going to go on top of this other pellet jet that screws in. Let's just go ahead and put that down inside there. And we're going to use Shindy's little pellet. Remember, the bevel side goes down towards that little needle slide. You want to get it around that needle. The needle's sitting right in there. You can barely see it. It kind of centers that needle up for you. That way when you put this in, it's nice and straight. Let's go ahead and clean that off. And one thing I want to show on these is, especially with that speaker wire, you got holes all up and down here. So you want to go ahead and run that speaker wire through each one of those holes and open it up. And I just cleaned this one the other day, so I'm not going to bore you with that, but just make sure you puncture through them. A little bit of calcium, like gas deposits, get in there, and it will just not make the bike run as well at all. Sometimes, if not, it start at all. So you got them up and down both sides. I'm just going to double check these real quick, make sure they're all open. It's tedious. You can get a little magnifying glass if you have to. And then let's go ahead and run one of these cleaners up there. And you've also got the brushes on here if you want to go that route, is what I would do if you were just cleaning yours for the first time or rebuilding it for the first time. Spray all that, get that off. We know that that's good. The holes are exposed and open. And that goes right down where we put that beveled center section that centers off that needle on the needle slide. So let's tighten that up. And Shindy did give us one main propeller jet on the bottom, your bottommost jet, so let's just go ahead and use that. It looks like Kevin's, it did come with this one, this jet here. Once again, these have, if you're just cleaning it, they have little holes down the whole side. I mean, they're small, they're teeny holes. So you want to poke that out. This one's clean, so I'm just, or brand new, it's clean, so I'm just going to spray it off and clean it. But if you do not get those holes on the sides of these, there's 2 and 2 more there. There's 4 total here and up through the middle. If you don't get it clean, the bike's not going to run. Let's go ahead and put that in there. Tighten it down with a screwdriver that matches it. All right, that's good. Let's go ahead and put that, let's clean that float off gently because we touched it. And let's get that brand new, the float valve. It's just gonna sit right on there like that. That's how it sits. And it's gonna drop right down into there. Just stick it on there. Drop it down right into that seat. And let's get our float pin. Put that back in there. It should just go right in, don't force it in. Sometimes you gotta shake the float back and forth like this. And it'll go right through, boom, we're good. And there you go, it's all hooked up. Everything looks good. The only thing we didn't mess with was this air adjuster screw. You wanna take this out. It looks like it did come with a new one. I don't know if I'm gonna mess with that or not. What I do is I'll adjust these all the way down till they're tight, just lightly seated, and then I'll count the number of rotations it is from here. So if we're right now, if we're looking at it, it's about at a 10 o'clock position, 11 o'clock position really. Let's do one full rotation. So it's 2 full rotations, and lightly seated is about a quarter. Now we're at the 1 o'clock position. So if we go back to that 12 or that 11, that's where we started. Whoops. We know it's 2 1/4, so we can just go ahead and back this thing out real fast, all the way out. We know if we tighten it all the way down and we back it off 2 1/4 turns, we're good. And there's a little, make sure there's nothing down in there. You can run those brushes up there if you want. I know this is clean, I'm just showing you guys. And it does come with a little O-ring gasket right here. That looks like Shindy did give us that one. And a spring. And they also gave us, actually there's the O-ring there and the spring if you wanted to redo this thing right here, rebuild it. And I'm not sure if I'm going to or not at this point. I'm going to think about that for a sec. I'm going to look at Shindy's air needle and match it up to Kevin's on his 350X. That looks good. So I'm actually going to keep Kevin's the way it is and take this gasket around there like that and drop it back down in there, and then tighten it all the way down and back it out 2 1/4 turns, and we're ready to reinstall this part here. Remember, I said make note of that, and the float bowl will go just like that, and the air adjustment screw that I'm going to swap out on Kevin's isn't even inside the bowl, it's just right here. So I'm going to tighten this all back up and put the new one back down in there, all the way down, lightly seated, back it up 2 1/4 turns at that 11 o'clock position, and his bike should be ready to rock and roll. All right, I got the little O-ring out of the package, and I'm just going to go ahead and get it on here. Hopefully I can get it. You want to push it on there without rolling it if you can. Just gently get it on there. Don't bend the needle. Just snap it around there like that. We're going to hit that with a little WD-40. Put it down in there, all the way down until it's seated, lightly seated. You don't want to over tighten it. I see it's seated nice, so we can go ahead and let's take that new spring that Shindy gave us. We're going to put that on there and drop that spring down in that hole first, and we're good. That keeps tension on it so it won't fall out while you're riding. Yeah, it's a nice fit. So I'm going to snug this down just until it lightly touches. You don't want to kill it because you're going to destroy what's in there. And we were 2 1/4 turns off. It's 1, 2 1/4. And we can adjust that later if we have to. And let's go ahead and get this one on there. I got some anti-seize grease on this as well. And we're done. I got a new fuel filter on here from the other day. We'll hook up the throttle cable back on the bike. The choke works. I cleaned out everything. If you're cleaning yours, just make sure you spray everything inside there, make sure everything's clean, and use your tools. I cleaned this one the other day, so I know we're good. And take pictures of everything if you need to. And there's probably another gasket that goes on this drain for the float bowl. I'm not going to mess with that because it's not leaking. Once again, I'm going to save those little gaskets just for in case we need to fix things while he's riding, if it breaks. And we've got a brand new gasket for the float bowl. Got another brand new gasket for this top cap. And we're good to go. Got another needle valve, that float needle valve that might work in a pinch. It wasn't working the way I wanted it, but all the other parts will. So let's get onto the bike, throw this on, see if she starts up and runs good. All right, I'm getting tired. Got the car back on. Let's be hopeful that everything's gonna run right. I did leave some of Kevin's stuff in here. It's my buddy Kevin's 350X, and I used some of the Shindy stuff. I kind of mismatched it hybrid, some OEM with the aftermarket, and that's normally what I do, and I never have any problems out of it. The only problem we were having was that old needle valve, the float valve that shoves up in that seat. Might have just got swollen, and if you use the wrong carb cleaner, you don't use that CRC, it's best not to clean it with anything but just maybe a little bit of water, leave it alone, dust it off, because if it swells up just the slightest, it won't come down out of that seat that's there. So let's fire it up, let's see what happens. And I know he's trying to come down today and cook out and pop some wheelies, so let's see if I did my job. Gas on. that idle up just a little bit. Running good. So since we put that new idle air mixture screw in there, it actually kind of calmed everything down. That thing's going to give you, when you throttle it out, you'll notice that there's hesitation. So the 2 1/4 turns was good, and I turned the gas off just so I could run the carb out of there. But it runs. I know it's going to run. So I'm actually going to move it over to the side field and let's see what she does real quick before I shut it down. Beast. Man, with this aftermarket exhaust is popping and pinging going on. Got a little burn on the calf there. Haven't had one of those since I was 18 out in San Diego on the crotch rockets. But it's a beast. Fix it yourself, save that money, buy more parts with the money you save. Got questions, comments, hit me up. These carbs are a little bit different than everything else, but they're all the same. Just take pictures, take your time, clean everything. Clean everything. Use that CRC non-chlorinated so you don't swell up the gaskets and the bushings, and I'm out. Keith, 2 guys how to. Peace. What's up, Iggy? Talk to him before I shut the video down. Oh yeah. Yep. You're not a pig, you're a lawyer. He's not a pig, he's a lawyer. Peace. I'm not a pig, I'm a lawyer.